Welcome to this tutorial. This is Matt Clifton from Feared Future Games, and I'm going to be talking to you a bit about asset creation within Modo, and then getting them assets from Modo into Unity for use within the game engine. The project we're working on is Horror. It's an in-house game we're working on at the moment, and we're going to be making a small corridor section to build up on the end of this. But having said that, I'm going to be basically doing these tutorials throughout the game development, so you won't just see asset creation, you're going to see some AI and some scripting and some other cool things, so just stick with these. This is the scene as it stands for this first initial section at the moment, and if you go at the end here, up these stairs you'll see a door, and then basically the corridor section we're going to be working on over the next few parts is going to be leading off this door. We're going to talk about all the stages of developing this small corridor. It's only a small item, but there's quite a few stages. There's going to be the geometry modeling, and then there's going to be the texturing and the lighting. And as you'll see, we try and cut down on as many real-time lights as possible, and we're going to use Unity's great light mapping technology to basically light the level for us. So this is how you see it in the game. So, and all these lights, there's no actual lights within Unity at all. So if I turn the lighting on, you'll see that the shadows are nice soft shadows, and they're being cast by however many lights is needed. And all this is made within Modo, and we generate light maps to map these areas. And then within Unity we can use we can save the CPU power and the graphics card power for doing some nice effects. So where you see this little light symbol, that is actually a dynamic real-time light, but I'm only using them within Unity for special effects, like here. If I hit play, you'll see this is just basically a spotlight. So yeah, well, I mean, Unity is good like that. You can get great effects for using very limited resources, which makes the engine very it's tailored for different systems. You can, like this, admittedly this is using quite a few dual cores, so I'm going to have to use this is going to be aimed more at a high-end spec machine, but equally you can run Unity products on an iPhone or on a small integrated graphics card, so it's good for that. So basically that's going to be the first part. We're going to be talking through all the steps of modeling and texturing and surfacing and lighting, so we'll jump straight over to Modo, and this is the corridor we're going to be working on over the next few parts. It's only a simple long corridor. Now these aren't separate rooms as such. It looks like it at the moment, but this is just a floor plan. I'm looking down from this, from the ceiling down. So this is just, I made this quickly just so I know the layout of what I want. It's basically quite a narrow corridor, and if you can imagine these little areas which are cut out here, there's going to be some sort of concrete pillars just to divide it up and make it a bit more interesting, and then a turning. So I envisage like a quite narrow, quite high ceilinged concrete corridor. With some, we're gonna borrow some assets out of the first section to fill this, some of the boxes and some of the crates, etc. But we'll be making some new assets, and I'll also go through importing assets, because when you bring in assets you may have bought, they might be in OBJ format or lightweight or something, and it's always handy to bring them into Modo first and then sort of clean them up, because when you bring them in you might get a lot of materials made and which you don't necessarily need, and funny normal maps and things, so it's best to load them into Modo first and basically sort them out before you start incorporating them into your level. So now we'll bang on with this. To make this, we'll start by we'll just be using the simple Modo toolage, the cube primitive mainly for this bit. But we'll also look at the slice command, which we'll be needing to break up some of these passageways, and then in parts, the subsequent parts, we'll be looking at the bevel tool, and how bevel is your friend, and you'll use it every day, many millions of times. But so what I'll do, I'll make a quick start on this. We'll make a new item, we'll make a new mesh layer, and we'll call this, it can be called anything really. I'll call this room complete. This is just an area basically to store all the initial geometry in. So we'll crack straight on. We'll zoom in. I'll try and talk as much about the Modo tools and keys as I can for the beginners out there. We're going to select the left click on there. Make sure the grid snapping is on. Left click. Drag it out. Let go. And then in Modo you'll see these tool handles. These are just so basically you can rescale or remove what you already made. And the arrows move the whole thing. The good thing about Modo is when you're using a tool like Box, it stays until you hit the spacebar. You don't drop the tool. So whilst I'm here, I can still go up to the top here and hit perspective, and then drag the green side up to there. So there you go. We're off and running. So I'm now going to quickly go through as many of these as I can. I could pause the video and save you all my stupid commentary, but I think I'll crack on. And it's always good for people new to Modo to see these things done. So I go to top, select the box tool, drag it out, go to perspective, drag it up, hit space, go to top, select the box tool, cube tool, drag it out, go to perspective, drag it up, hit space. So you can see Modo is really quick at modelling this sort of thing. There are obviously key shortcuts and things for going to perspective views and top views and things, but we'll talk about those in later parts. These first few parts we'll try and concentrate on exactly what the user can see, to not try and complicate things too much. See, that's put that right down there, but that's no problem. Just drag it up, top view, set the cube tool, drag it down, perspective, back to the top, next one. We're gradually getting through these. In Modo you can use use the Alt key to rotate around, Alt Shift to move about, Alt Control to zoom. And last one. I'm sorry if this is glitching a bit or spluttering. That's because I'm using the screen capture program to capture the video, so it makes it a bit. So there you go. I'll just make a quick save on it. Now I can delete my initial floor plan. So that's basically the initial geometry, but basically all I've done so far is just made a load of boxes. So when I basically invert these faces, so if you was inside, you'd see them as walls. So if you look down here in the statistics pane, you can see exactly how many vertices are making up this model, how many edges, and how many polygons. If you filter through these, if you wanted to, say you wanted to find a polygon on this model that was made of a certain material, you can do it by selection here, or by part, or by type, but we just want them all. So, and you hit the F key, that flips the faces. So now if we go in here, it's more like a corridor. So what we'll do now, we have a few problems with this. As it stands at the moment, you're not going to be able to walk through these walls. I need to split. I need to divide all these up. So what I'll do, it's a quick thing. Just select all the bit using Shift, standard sort of multi-selection key. Go to front view. Now you can see through here already that there's a line there where those sort of concrete blocks are going to be coming out to, the concrete pillars. So what I can use this tool called the slice, and that just basically slices polygons. So the grid snap is already on, so I can just drag it down there, drop the tool, drag it down there, spacebar, drop tool. So now that's been divided up, so I can go through here and remove these faces. And now we have our corridor. I'll do the same for these bits there. Use the slice tool. And the good thing about Modo with the tools is if you're using a tool already, because I need to use this tool twice, and if you remember when I did the last section of the corridor, I drilled it down here, hit spacebar, dropped tool, went back up here, selected it again, drilled it down there, hit space. But what you can do is you can draw the first one, then hit the shift key, which reuses the tool you're already using. Just go again. And that saves you the. And there you have it. There's our corridor. Admittedly, at the moment, it does look a bit like you're walking through a load of shoe boxes, but we'll sort that out. In subsequent parts, we're going to add some skirtings, and we may add some little bevels around here and make some little alcoves and bits that stick off for the old baddies to hide in. So let's make a quick save of that. Basically, that's using the slice tool and the primitive cube tool to make a little corridor section. So that's the end of the first part. We'll come back in part 2. We'll make the skirtings. We're going to divide up the floors into different sections to make different materials on, and that should be pretty cool. So I'll see you in part 2.